aligning yourself and becoming this new version of you is very much a mental game. It really, really is. But that has its own strengths for sure. I've noticed this, because when things are physical, when things are a physical game, there is only so much you can do at a certain stage, right? Before your fitness increases or before your strength increases. We do have these barriers that we're hit with physically. Maybe it's working out or doing a certain thing. But although even doing physical things, it's still very much a mental game. But aligning yourself and becoming the new you is definitely a mental game. But the positive to this is you're not met with those physical boundaries, right? It's just this mental game that you're playing with yourself. So once you know what this ideal you looks like, or this new path that you're heading in, this ideal version of you, what it looks like, and you've connected with what it feels like, you know how that future you's going to feel if you're operating as your best self, or at least living the dream life that you're desiring. Once you know how that feels, you know what that looks like, and you're connecting with it on a regular basis, tapping into how you would be living your life, living that life, how you'd be feeling whilst living that life, how it would feel to have achieved those goals that you're hoping to achieve, or you are going to achieve. Once you've done this, and you start taking these minor decisions and putting them in place, changing bad habits, or start actually doing the things that ideal self is going to be doing, you start putting them into practice and you start changing, making all these minor changes. From that point on, it's very much a mental game. And this is why I say about falling in love with that process and almost romanticizing it is a good place to be. You sort of fall in love with that journey, even the hard things, because you're definitely going to be met with some challenges. You're going to be met with some doubts, some fears of the old you clinging on and not wanting to let go. But as I said in one of my earlier videos, this is just a sign that you're making great change. It's a mental game. Give yourself the permission to level up and fall in love with pulling yourselves out of the depths of the old you, right? You can be in a real difficult place, surrounded by things that you're not enjoying or aren't fueling you in a positive light. But once you make that change and you see the vision of where you're heading, and you simply decide that that's where you're heading and you're going to achieve it, from that moment on, it is just a mental game of sticking with it and staying with it and staying clear on it. And this is why envisioning and knowing how that would feel once you've achieved it helps, because it keeps that vision intact. It keeps that end goal intact, allowing you to do those hard things. And keeping yourself in a mindset that doesn't hold you back anymore. It doesn't keep you in the boundaries of this, what the old you would, right? This is why I said about sometimes it's almost a delusional place that you can get in a healthy way, in a way where you're not getting swayed by your 3D reality that your old you has created. You have to ignore that for a moment and keep connecting, keep envisioning the new you where you are. And when the doubts come in, the fears come in, the challenges come up, it's then mental for you to overcome, to see them for what they are and not let yourself get pulled backwards and dragged back into habits and scenarios that the old you would have, right? It's a mental game rather than a physical game, aligning with the new self. And as I said, don't make it harder than it needs to be also. It doesn't have to be hard. Fall in love with the process, romanticize the process, almost becoming addicted to the process of bettering yourself, and knowing that you're worthy of bettering yourself. If you picture the best version of yourself that you'd be the most proud to live, being the best man or woman that you could be, and you start doing the things and putting into place the things that the best you would do, man, what a journey and what a gift. And you are worth that change. You are worth being that person. And nurture that, hold that within, that knowing, and protect it. Don't let others drag you out or take you off of that path through their own fears and their own doubts. It takes that mental strength for you, only you, to know where you're heading and what you're about to achieve. You need to hold that, you need to have that and nurture it. And other people's doubts, other people's views of the world, other people's ideas of what's possible, you're going to hear them, you're going to feel them at times, and this is why it's a mental game. And to not let your own ideas of the world, your own ideas of what you can achieve, the doubts start creeping in. That's a mental game. Be so clear on where you're heading, be so connected with the ideal self of what that's going to be for you, that you have unwavering strength in knowing that that's where you're heading. It's just a matter of time. Once you've implemented the things that are needed to walk that path and be that person, as I said a couple of videos ago, that can be instant. You can simply decide right now that you're going to put in the changes to better yourself and live the life that you know you deserve, and you also know that you can be. You have to ignore other people's views of you. You have to ignore your own views of yourself and flip them on its head and start viewing yourself as the person that does the thing that you want to do. That is the person that you want to be. And then ground it, stay true, protect it, and start walking the path, making those minor changes that are going to shift you into that reality. And in the meantime, before that reality's feedback loop has caught up, and you're still in the surroundings and the reality that the old self has created, that's a mental game. To not get tricked by what you're seeing, what you're feeling, for those that you're around, to not get tricked by any of that, and to stay so true and stoic in that, knowing that it's all going to change because you've changed. You've catapulted yourself, and the way that you approach life, the way that you see life, the way that you see yourself has changed. Therefore, your outcome and what you see in reality is going to change. It's just going to take some time, and it might not be long. And celebrate the small wins when you do feel them. Celebrate them when they come up. And this might be internal at first, recognizing how different you feel, maybe how better you feel for implementing some habits and stepping into the new you. You're going to feel it first, and then you're going to see things first. And even when they're small, celebrate them. This is a sign that things are shifting, things are changing. And then when the old you tries to cling on and pull you back through your doubts and fears and old ways of thinking and old patterns, it's a mental game then to stay true, hold that vision, hold that truth, and keep taking steps forward. There will be hurdles to overcome, there will be challenges, there will be fears, because you're changing. You're no longer going to be in your comfort zone, but you're going to be in a zone that's you walking this new path that you deserve and that you desire. And you can have it, you can achieve it. And it's the mindset that's going to keep you on track. It's removing the bad things or the things that aren't fueling you in a positive way and replacing them with the things that do, even though they might be hard at the start. If they fuel you in a positive way, you're going to get that feeling back. You're going to get that feed loop back, and you're going to start feeling better. You're going to start seeing things differently, in a better light. This is going to make you feel better. Your confidence will grow knowing that you're walking a path that's true to you and in alignment with your authentic self. That alone lifts your vibration. And when you recognize these things happening, celebrate them just internally to yourself. That's enough. Just to recognize that the changes you're making are having an impact, and that will snowball. That momentum, as you grow, as you gain momentum, these wins are going to come bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you recognize it, you're going to look around and think, wow, I've changed, I've come a long way. So if you're at the start of this journey, know that you're worth that. You're worth living that life that you're desiring. You're worth becoming that best version of yourself that you can possibly imagine right now. When you close your eyes and you think of, what do I look like? What life would I be living if I was my best self? Turning up each day to do the things that serve me and my family and my loved ones in the best light, because you can walk that path. If you feel like deep down you're not quite operating at the level that you know you can be, and you're holding yourself back through different reasons, it might be bad habits, it might just be fears, it might just be blocks that are getting in the way, and you know you're capable of more and you want to walk that path or you get there, know that you can, and know that you're worth that. And all it takes is you to simply decide and start aligning yourself with that by connecting to how that would feel and how that ideal self of you would be living, and start implementing. And then stay stoic in the mind. Stay strong in the mind, and when things try and take you off that path, having that end goal in mind, that end vision in mind, that end feeling in mind of how you want to live your life, hold that strong and return to it as often as you can, and know that you can pull yourselves out of whatever depths that you're in right now, and you're worthy. Give yourself permission to pull yourself out of those depths and come addicted, in almost addicted to that path going forward. And you will feel amazing for this, for taking these steps, for giving yourself the permission. You will feel amazing, and so much will open up for you. this is the journey I've pretty much been on for maybe the last 6 years. And I know in life we're always growing, we're always going to have different challenges and different things and desires that change and areas for growth that we're going to show to us at different areas of our lives, right? But I realised maybe 5-6 years ago the things that I wasn't giving love to that I knew would better me and my loved ones. And I took that journey of doing the hard things and picking up those areas and shining light and love to those areas. And the change in my life is massive. And this is what I want to help others do. You know, become your best self, that ideal self, in an authentic way, in a truthful way, through mindset, gaining clarity, creativity, well-being. You can do it. You really can do it. And this is what I want to share. So for those of you who are interested, I've got the Navigating Self program where I dive into all this stuff with the support and the accountability to help you alongside. But the main thing is recognizing that so much of this is just a mental game that starts with you simply deciding and then taking the steps to align with that self, that part of you that you want to be, that life that you want to live. And pull yourselves out the depths of where you currently are. If you're not in a good place or you're in an unbalanced place, you can do it. You're worthy of it. You just got to give yourself permission and simply decide and start aligning, and then just make these minor decisions along the way, overcoming the fears and the hurdles that shine love on them, understand them, and this is just a journey of growth you're able to overcome, and it's a joy to walk that path. You can do it. Stay true, look after yourself, and recognize when you're gaining this momentum and celebrate it. Because you will look back and think, wow, I've come a long way in all these things that I used to struggle with. I now live the life that I wondered if I ever could. But deep down I knew that I could and would. Take that path. And if you want some support, if you want some community around this journey, if you want that, then please get in touch. My email is below. But as I said, in the meantime, know that you're worth and give yourself permission to make those changes and simply decide the person you want to be, the life you want to live, the character you want to play, because it's a fun game once you get going, and fall in love with that process, fall in love with that journey, and almost romanticize it even when it's hard. Not everything in life is meant to be easy, but don't make it too hard, not harder than it needs to be, because you can win that battle with your mind when those things come up. You're in control, and you can just simply decide to then start walking that path. And you'll thank yourself, you'll love yourself for it. Give yourself permission. Look after yourself, take care. Peace.